Hello everyone and welcome again. Today I am baking babka, which is going to be with the use of dry yeast. And this is a very popular dish for Easter. So the recipe is, I have 300 grams of all-purpose flour, 75 grams of powdered sugar, 150 grams of milk. I'm using the 2% milk, 75 grams of unsalted butter, and this is an Irish butter, so it is more yellow than a regular one. And I have 3 egg yolks. I have here 8 grams of the dry yeast, and this is the instant one, or you can substitute for fresh ones. I just didn't have it. You can substitute with 25 grams of fresh yeast. And this is sugar with the use of orange peel. So this is, how many grams? 15 grams. A pinch of salt that I'm gonna use for that. Also, I have some raisins here. This is 100 grams of raisins. And I'm gonna mix it with some amaretto. I'll show you in a second. This is 75 grams of the amaretto for soaking the raisins. And here I have 20 grams of water just to mix with that. And last but not least is just a little bit of a stick of butter. And that's about all that I'm gonna use as far as the ingredients. So let me begin. The very first thing I'm going to do is put my pot, a small pot, over the lowest possible heat that you have. So I put it on low. I'm gonna place my raisins in here. I have the raisins, the amaretto, and the water. So in go the raisins, the alcohol, and the water. And the purpose of this is for the raisins to soak up all the water and the amaretto. And this can be a lengthy process. It can take about an hour, and I cover it up. The next thing I'm going to do is sift the flour. Make sure to always sift the flour because the dough tends to be really fluffy when you do that. I had to grab a spoon because of the spout here is spreading the flour all over. Working with flour is really messy, as you can tell. Next thing is I'm going to place the flour, the butter, and the milk in my preheated oven. And I have the oven just on warm, if you can see. But my warmer, I'm gonna cancel this because my warmer still heats up till about 170, 180 degrees. So therefore, I'm gonna open the door for a little bit before I place the milk, the flour, so that they can sit there for about 30 minutes and get warm. It's because that type of a dough really likes warmth. So the oven has cooled a little bit, but it's still warm enough to get this to the temperature of about 95 degrees Fahrenheit or about 35 degrees Celsius. And this will actually melt in there, and the milk will get warm, and the flour will become warm as well, so that we can work well with the dough. So I'm gonna do is close it and give it about 30 minutes. In the meantime, stir your raisins. We don't want to cook them. We just want them to absorb all the amaretto with water. Of the pan that I am using are 20.5 centimeters or 8 inches and about 10 centimeters height. And I have greased the pan with the butter all over so that the babka won't stick. So you may want to add a little bit of flour, and also some people place breadcrumbs, so just to make sure nothing sticks. Now I took my milk out from the oven. It's pretty warm. I'm gonna use half of this for the starter, as now I'm making the dough starter. And then the rest I will place in the dough later. And about a tablespoon of the powdered sugar. And also the yeast. I will mix this all well. And now I'm going to cover this up with my plastic wrap. I will place it in the preheated oven as well with my flour and the remaining milk. So as you can tell, the butter has already almost melted. Now I am gonna push this a little bit back. I'm gonna put my starter dough here, and here is the flour. So we'll leave all that in. Forget to put the milk and leave it in for about 30 minutes. And now I removed the starter, including the flour, the milk. The butter has melted perfectly and it's just been warmed. And as you can tell, the starter dough is working. So what I'm gonna do now is add all these ingredients, the rest of them in. And we're gonna mix all these well. So let's add the flour. And I like to add things a little at a time, so then it's easier to mix for you as well. I'm going to add a pinch of salt. That's supposed to bring out the flavor. Now add the remaining milk and the sugar. This is powdered sugar. I'm going to add the sugar with the orange peel. You can also add vanilla sugar or whatever you like. And now going to add the remaining flour. And let's not forget the egg yolks. You can also put this in a stand mixer. It'll probably be easier than mixing by hand, but it's not a lot. And now I'm gradually going to start to add that butter a little bit at a time. And the remaining. Finally, I'm going to add the raisins. And mix that all in. I'm gonna use my hand since it will be a little bit easier. And this smells amazing. And this is kind of a sticky dough, and it should be that way. So if it sticks to your hand a little bit, that's perfectly fine. And I formed it into a little ball. Now I'm gonna reuse the same plastic, and I'm gonna put it in that warm oven. It's still warm, I just checked, for another half an hour, and it has to double its size. And now the dough has doubled its size or volume, and I have my pan ready here with butter. So I'm just gonna mix this dough a little bit. Now I'm going to transfer little pieces into the baking pan. And just even it out. I evened it out as much as I could, but I'm going to let this rise again. But first I'm gonna cover this again with some plastic wrap and put it in a warm place or the oven for about 30 minutes. It'll rise again, and then I'm going to bake it for half an hour. It's been about half an hour now since I removed the babka from the oven. It has risen very nicely, as you can tell. So now I'm gonna place it in the oven for about 30 minutes or until the stick is dry at 325 degrees Fahrenheit or about 170 degrees Celsius. And I forgot to tell you that if you put some baking paper on top of the babka so that it will not burn on the top. And now I'm checking to see if my babka is done. So when I insert the stick, make sure that the stick is dry, and it is, in which case I will turn off the oven, and I will let this babka cool off a little bit. My yeast babka is done now. Just making sure that it's not sticking to the sides. I did put a lot of butter to it, so I'm going to place it on my plate. And it came out looking good. You can place some powdered sugar on it, maybe some chocolate or some glaze, but I think I'm just going to leave it like this and I'll cut into it. And as you can tell, The babka is very moist and soft, and the yeast dough is just perfect. Very, very fluffy. So if you like this recipe, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching.